Odin's coming fairly close to me here. He has built up quite a bit of confidence. When he first came to us, he would come nowhere really close to us at all. He'd kind of follow us around, but the second you looked at him, he got pretty spooked. Freya is still a little bit more on the shy, timid side. She has a bit more wolf content in her. So when it comes to Freya, with not having proper socialization from a young age, just that instinctual behavior makes her pretty fearful of humans. Odin here is a mid-content wolf dog, so he's got a little bit more dog in him, which helps him act a little bit more like a dog. So he's able to kind of make a bit more progress, and he has had a bit more socialization from what we know. But just kind of coming in here and tossing out some treats to these guys can help them learn that when a human comes in and brings in treats, it means positive associations. So they start to learn that we mean good things to them.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about how wolf content works?
Yeah, so because wolf dogs are intentionally bred by humans, you can get any amount of wolf content. So um, when it comes to high content, that essentially means that they have mostly wolf in them, mid, obviously somewhere in the middle. And then, of course, you also have low content wolf dogs, which are a little bit more common to see. And those guys, they're usually going to have a lot more dog in them with a very small amount of the wolf content in them. Good job, Odin.
How many wolf dogs do you have at the sanctuary?
So we have 23 permanent residents at the moment here. See if we can get one to Freya. Good girl.
And if anyone watching has any questions about wolf dogs or the Wolfdog Sanctuary, feel free to ask in the comments.
Oh, Freya, did that spook you? There you go. What do you think, buddy? Oh, that's very brave.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Yamnuska Wolfdog Sanctuary?
Yeah, so Yamnuska Wolfdog Sanctuary is still a fairly new organization. Um, we basically got started just kind of when the owner of the sanctuary, Georgina, realized that there is just not a lot of places for wolf dogs to go. And when you have people intentionally breeding them, people don't really understand kind of some of the issues that can come about when trying to have them as pets. So a lot of people end up surrendering them and they end up in rescues that aren't really set up for wolf dogs. So a lot of times they will get euthanized just strictly for having a wolf content title. A lot of these animals do end up being misrepresented. A lot of people think they have wolf dogs when they don't. And that's something that happens from breeders wanting to make money, and they'll misrepresent their animals so that they can make money, essentially. So we do see a lot of that as well. So the sanctuary was started so that we could ensure that some of these animals would have a permanent home, and as well so that we could start educating people about wolf dogs, to try and stop as many people going out and purchasing them from these backyard breeders. Um, we do offer some different tours to help educate people, and we'll take in as many animals as we can. Of course, we can only take in so many, but we do our best to try and take in everyone that's possible.
If you're just tuning in, we're at the Yamnuska Wolfdog Sanctuary in Alberta, Canada. I think we have a few questions. Janie wants to know how large their area is at the Wolfdog Sanctuary.
Awesome. So yeah, all of our enclosures are quite large. We them as large as possible, which means you can take in less animals, but it also means that these guys can feel really comfortable in the spaces that they have. So all of them, I would say, is about 1 to 2 acres big for each enclosure that we build for these animals.
Elizabeth asks, how long does it take to build trust with them? And if they, and as a second question, she wants to know if they form packs in captivity.
Awesome. So as far as how long it takes to build trust with them, it's really dependent on each animal. Some of them, it can be a couple weeks of little sessions like this. Other times it can be quite a few months. A lot of it will also have to do with the fact if they've been socialized or not. So Odin here, I suspect that he has had some socialization to humans, whereas Freya, who's a little bit further away, she has had a lot less of any of that kind of positive association to humans. She hasn't necessarily had bad associations, but it's just without that kind of positivity when they were growing up. She's only about a year now. Just kind of that instinctual behavior starts to set in. So it can really vary. And then, sorry, what was the other question?
Let me see. Oh, if they form a pack while they're in captivity.
So we definitely do see some pack tendencies here at the sanctuary. A lot of our enclosures end up only having two animals, so they'll have one male and one female. And that works best because we can ensure that there's really no arguments. Or if you think about a wolf pack in the wild, the way it would start is a male and a female pairing, and then they would have a litter of puppies. But we do, of course, spay and neuter our animals, so there's no puppies coming about. But they would still show kind of that dominance towards each other. When it's just the two of them, you see it is usually a little bit more of a split role, as it would be with an alpha male and an alpha female. But we do have some packs here at the sanctuary where there are very much established packs, and you see that hierarchy of an alpha male, an alpha female, and then some younger members, a beta or an omega.
Cool. Donna wants to know if they bond with humans as much as regular dogs do.
So they definitely don't bond in the same way. We do have some animals here at the sanctuary that are fairly confident towards the humans that they know, and they can still be pretty affectionate, but it's always on their own terms. Whereas with our domestic dogs, most dogs that have been well socialized, they want to be pet at any time of the day. Doesn't matter when, they're pretty happy to get it. Whereas with a lot of the wolf dogs, it really depends on how they're feeling that day and if they really want to be pet. Sometimes they'll just stay snoozing and they don't care that you're in there at all. Other times they come running up and they're super excited. So again, it can be pretty dependent on the animal itself, but they're definitely not quite the same as domestic dogs as far as caring about, humans. But they can absolutely build bonds with us humans.
CJ wants to know what the average lifespan of a wolf dog is.
So it will depend on how much wolf content is in them. The more wolf content, the better the life expectancy. And that's because wolves are incredibly hardy animals. So they can fight off diseases. They're also built very differently. Odin's a pretty good example. Freya, she's a little bit further away, but you can see they're super lean with nice long legs. Just even the way that Freya walks looks quite a bit different from what you'd see on a domestic dog. So what it ends up meaning is that they're not going to have things like hip dysplasia or elbow dysplasia like we see on large breed dogs. So we could have a life expectancy on a high content wolf dog, as well as a wolf in captivity of about 16 to 18 years old.
Wow. Teresa asks an interesting question. Do wolf dogs howl or bark?
So again, it depends on the wolf content. That's a common
right.
Yeah. So the high content wolf dogs, they're very similar to what a wolf would be like. Having that small amount of dog doesn't affect things much. So those guys would essentially just howl. They would not bark. But some of the lower content wolf dogs, even Odin here being a mid content, he's got a pretty interesting sounding howl, and he can often make some pretty odd noises that are kind of like a bark. So as you start to see them get more and more dog in them, they start to have more of those dog behaviors. So barking is something you can see in a wolf dog. Just oftentimes I like to say with the low content wolf dogs, they've got a horrible sounding howl and a horrible sounding bark a lot of the time.
Heather wants to know if they are spayed or neutered.
Yeah, we do alter all of our animals here at the sanctuary. That way we can ensure that our animals are not reproducing. That's something that we definitely don't want to be doing considering we are a rescue, and we often are at capacity. So right now we're over capacity, and that's with our animals being altered. So you can imagine if we were having puppies every year, it would be tough to keep going and have enough space for everyone.
Right. We have one more question, which I think is a good one to wrap up on, and that is from Barbara, and she wants to know if you can visit the sanctuary.
Absolutely. So the sanctuary is fully open to the public. We offer quite a few different types of tours. So there's 3 different options. One is just general admission, lets you kind of come check us out, walk around and view everything. And then there's 2 structured tours. One of them is our interactive tour. You would need to book that in advance, but it's a pretty unique experience that you got to go into 2 different enclosures and kind of do exactly what I'm doing and toss out some treats to the wolf dogs and get to see them up close. and an opportunity to compare the differences between high contents and low contents.
Very cool. And if you're interested in learning more about the Yamnuska Wolfdog Sanctuary, you can visit YamnuskaWolfdogSanctuary.com, and we'll post a link in the top comment so you can check that out as soon as the video's done. Thanks to Yamnuska Wolfdog Sanctuary, and thanks to everyone for watching.